Okay, 11:35. Um, am I audible to you, students? Is it working?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Good
fine.
morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So let me start the class. Let me record it. It's recording already. Fine. So we are discussing mycology. So the subject is virology and mycology, and the subject code is BMLT5001. So here, first 2 units is all about mycology. So in the second unit, if you see the syllabus closely, you have names of fungi, diseases caused by them, superficial mycosis. Then we have subcutaneous mycosis. So we finished superficial mycosis. Then we finished subcutaneous. Then they have given dermatophytes. Dermatophytes also discussed. Then the leftover topics are opportunistic fungi and candida. So according to syllabus, these are the only leftover topics. We need to discuss in detail about opportunistic fungi and we need to discuss candida. But what I observed is there is no systemic mycosis in the syllabus. Systemic mycosis has been somehow not included in the syllabus. But in the systemic mycosis, at least we will try to study histoplasma capsulatum. At least one fungi we must study. Okay. So in today's lecture, I will discuss about opportunistic fungi. So in the opportunistic fungi, we will get this candidate that I will discuss. Okay. So today we will discuss about opportunistic fungi. So I'm directly going to the topic. Long story. Here, students, I would like to tell one thing. I have given assignment to you. So in the assignment, I said what fungi will cause infection to nose. Discuss in detail about the infection that will cause to the nose, fungal infection. Which one will, which is that fungi, students? Among these four, what? Rhinosporidiosis. Very good.
Rhinosporium.
Very good. Rhinosporidiosis is a nose fungal infection. Then what fungus is called as gardener's disease?
Sporotocasis.
Sporotrichosis. Very good. Then in what fungi we will see cauliflower-like tumors on the skin? They will resemble like a cauliflower-like lesions on the skin. In what fungal infection?
Chromomycosis.
Very good. Chromomycosis. Then can you tell me the agent for chromomycosis? What fungi is responsible for chromomycosis? What is the fungus name? I don't know why you are not speaking. I said what fungi will cause chromomycosis? What is the fungus name? Pontia pedrosa and Poncisa compactum. Okay. So it seems that you are not studying, just listening simply. Yeah, okay. Anyway, students, I'm coming to the point. So in today's lecture, we will discuss about opportunistic fungi. So let us see what is this opportunistic fungi. So in the opportunistic fungi, we have three important fungus, students. So in the opportunistic fungi, we have three fungi. One is mucormycosis, then second one is candidiasis, and third one is aspergillosis. So these are the three fungal diseases which are very frequent among patients who has this, which is an opportunistic fungi. So the meaning of opportunistic fungi means usually this fungus won't cause any infection. They are normal fungi, okay? But when the patients One second, students. Open చేస్తారా అవినాష ఓకే ఒకసారి అవినాష్ ఫోన్ చేసి చెప్పనా ఆయన పంపించా ఫైన్ fine students. So opportunistic fungi. Opportunistic fungi means when there is a immunocompromised condition in the patient, only in that condition patient will get infection. If he has any secondary diseases, like if the patient is in the ICU, if the patient taking steroids, if he is under a treatment where his immune system compromised, in that condition, this fungi will cause infection. Usually, this fungus won't cause anything. They are like they will seek for the opportunity. Whenever they are getting opportunity to get infect, then they will infect the patient. Okay, that is why these fungi are called opportunistic fungi. So few opportunistic fungi are mucormycosis, candidiasis, and aspergillosis. I think it is too noisy here. Can you hear me, students? Are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Yeah. So mucormycosis. So first one we will discuss about mucormycosis. So recently it became a celebrity because this fungus infection we have seen in the COVID-19 patients. So why COVID-19 patients got this mucormycosis is in the COVID patients we are giving steroids to them. So to decrease the inflammation caused by the virus, we are giving this anti-inflammatory drugs, which include our steroids. So what is the side effect of steroids is steroids will decrease the activity of the immune cells. So when the immune cells activity decreased, obviously the immune system will be dropped. So when the immune system compromised means there is a high chance of getting opportunistic infections in the patient. So steroids is really there is good and bad for steroids. Good thing is we can control the reactions happen within the body. Okay, so inflammation is caused by immune cells. So to suppress the immune activity, we must give steroids. But because of this suppression of immune system, we will get this opportunistic infections. So it is a double-edged sword. We can't do anything. No. So and most of the opportunistic fungi they will cause in the patients who has viral infections, because whenever you have viral infection there is a immune system will be dropped, so there will be a less weakened immunity in the patients, so there is a high chance of getting this opportunistic infections to such patients. So first I will discuss about this mucormycosis. So mucormycosis is also called black fungus. Okay. So let me go to the next slide. So I will show you the pictures of mucormycosis. So these are the mucormycotic infection patients. I think this patient has underwent some surgery. So whenever we have surgery, we will compromise, we will keep the patient in steroids, right? So due to that, after post surgery, patient got this infection. So I think this patient had a surgery in this area. So after doing surgery, he got this mucormycotic infection. So this is an actual mucormycosis. Okay. So here you can see the growth of black colored fungi. So this is a mucormycotic infection. Okay. So this patient became like this. So he got mucormycosis here, and gradually it was inside the cheek. It was growing like this. So the only thing we can do to save this person life is by amputating or by removing this part of the infection. So half of his face need to be removed to keep the patient alive. So this is how the mucormycosis looks like. Very deadly infection. I will show few more pictures. Yeah, and we know that mucormycosis affected our COVID patients. It is because of utilization of steroids in the COVID patients. So that is why we saw this mucormycotic infection in the COVID patients. Okay, so these are few more pictures of mucormycosis. So here you can see mucormycosis to the several locations of the body, where you can see growth of black colored fungi. So this is an mucor infection. So this is an opportunistic
Excuse me,
infection.
sir.
Yes, Simon.
No, it's Eric.
Yes, Eric.
So this is severe, or it's a first stage.
This is severe infection. severe form of mucormycosis. Usually, the problem with mucor is by the time we are recognizing that the patient has infection, by that time the fungi will spread very rapidly. So by the time patient showing signs and symptoms, he has a severe growth in his body. So
Mm.
that is the
And this,
major. Yeah.
it affects only outside the body or even inside the mouth.
It will affect the mucous membranes of our body actually.
Oh,
It
okay.
is both subcutaneous and it may go to systemic also. Yes,
Okay.
it is a systemic infection. But why
Okay.
we are not discussing this in systemic? Because this is a common opportunistic fungi, particularly. Usually, it won't cause any problem. I can safely, I'm not supposed to tell like this, but I can safely take a small inoculation of mucor and I can keep in my mouth. I won't get any infection because I'm healthy person. Only if I'm diseased or if I have some immune compromise, then only I will get infection. Okay, this is an opportunistic infection. Usually, it won't cause any deadly infection, but it will be severe among the patients. It is one of the common nosocomial infection, by the way. That means this is one of the hospital borne infection. Uh,
Mm.
if you catch this, means really challenging to stop the spread of this infection. Really challenging because
Mm.
we need to stop the steroids to the patient. So if we are stopping steroids, patient may get severe immune reaction. He will get severe inflammation, and inflammation is like a deadly combination for any severe infection like this. So really challenging to control this particular mucormycosis. But thankfully, we have a very good antifungal drugs. So if the patient responding to us means we can give drugs and we can bring back the patient to normal state. But patient must cooperate with us. When I'm saying cooperation, not physically, but biologically. His body should tolerate the drugs that we are giving. He should be able to metabolize the drugs and he should stay alive until the treatment. But that won't be the case for all patients. I hope you're understanding what I was trying to tell. If the patient is
Yes,
young,
sir.
means yes, we can save the patient life. But if he's too old, means definitely there is a less chance of keeping patient alive with this kind of infections. Yeah, really challenging. Medicine, we know everything, we have everything, but uh, we cannot standardize the patient, right? We cannot predict the patient status. It is highly volatile. Anything happen at any time. Really challenging environment, actually. Yeah. Okay, so this is mucormycosis.
Sir,
Yes, Joyce.
so does it mean that every COVID patient
Mm.
is likely to suffer from
Every
mucormycosis?
every COVID patient who is under steroids, who kept under steroids, there is a chance of getting mucor infection. Not only mucor, we have aspergillus, we have candida, we have some 10 more other fungi that can cause infection in the immunocompromised people. So
Okay.
recently this became celebrity, but yeah, there are many other fungus also. But not everyone. That depends upon the hospital environment. If they are maintaining proper sterile environment, means they won't get any infection. But it is due to pure negligence only, I can say. Yeah. So be cautious when you are admitting in a hospital. Ensure that they are following proper protocols or not. But that cannot be achieved in all the hospitals, particularly if it is a government aided. We know the loopholes in the system. Anyway, so this is mucormycosis. Um, I don't know why my slide is not going. You can, mm. So next is so let us directly jump into this mucormycosis, students. So there are three genus. So there are three fungi in this particular genera. So the three fungi are Mucor, Rhizophus, and Lentissemia. So these are the three fungi that are included in this genera. Okay. So mucormycosis is also called zygomycosis. Okay. So because they belongs to this zygomycota. Okay. So there are three fungi. They are Mucor, Rhizopus and Leishmania. Please mute yourself. Let me mute you. Okay, so the three fungi are Mucor, Rhizopus, and Leishmania. So these fungi are saprophytes of soil, manure, and decaying vegetables. Yeah, this one I need to tell you, students. Keep in mind, students, don't ever try to eat any spoiled vegetables or the vegetables that has fungal growth. It is very dangerous. Usually, this problem we will see in the refrigerators. Sometimes we will keep this vegetables in the bottom tray and we will left them for almost 2 weeks. Then you will see growth of fungi, and there is a chance of growing this particular mucormycosis right now in your home. It is a common infection for vegetables. So its natural habitat is soil, manure, and decaying vegetables. So be cautious. Not only the mucor species, even Aspergillus. Aspergillus, the common name for Aspergillus is bread mold. In the bread, you will see black color fungus formation. That is Aspergillus, which is an opportunistic fungi. So don't underestimate this fungi. We don't know when we will get a severe infection. So the common habitat of this mucor is soil, manure, and decaying vegetables. So they are normally and avirulent. That means they won't cause any infection and are able to cause disease only when general resistance is extremely low. Simply when the patient's immune system drop, then only this fungi will cause infection. But very rarely only. This fungi won't cause any infection usually. But when the patient becomes severely immunocompromised, then it will cause a deadly infection in the patient. Okay. So the primary infection is usually in the upper respiratory tract and nose. So it will usually infects in the upper respiratory tract and the nose. It will cause infection in the nose and face actually. Okay, in the lungs. So these are the three species, and the difference between these three species lies in its morphology only. Neocar will have sporangiospores, whereas Rhizophus has rhizoids like roots like structures. That is why they are called Rhizophus. And Lecythemia. Keep in mind, one important feature is in the Lecythemia, the rhizoids will be in between the sporangium. They won't present beneath the sporangiospore. Rather than they will present in between the septa, in between the spaces of this septa, okay, or hyphae. In between the hyphae, you will see these rhizoids. This is the major difference between Mucor, Rhizophus, and Lecythemia. So these pictures are very important. Next slide. Okay, so this Rhizophus will cause the following infections. So there is one infection called rhinocerebral form of disease, which is characterized by spreading lesions from nasal mucosa to turbinate bone and paranasal sinuses, orbit and red. So very simply, so a rhinocerebral form of disease or rhinocerebral infection means this is the infection to the face. Okay, it will start spreading from the nasal sinuses and it will even go up to the orbit. It will go up to the bone that supports the eyes. Okay, so it will cause this infection, and this is called rhinocerebral infection. Then second one is rhizophus can cause octomycosis. Octomycosis means this is an infection to the auditory ear. Okay, in the eardrum you will see this infection. So this is called octomycosis. Octomycosis is a rhizophus or a mucor infection to the ear is called as octomycosis. Then lecythemia may cause keratitis. Lecythemia may cause keratitis means it is the infection of your nails. So nail infection will be caused by lecythemia. And pulmonary mucormycosis is a progressive and severe pneumonia. The fungi may spread hematogenously to other areas of the lung, and it will cause, it can also reach up to brain. So there is another form of mucormycosis where it will attack the lungs. So from the lungs, it will gain access into the blood. From the blood, it will go to the multiple organs of our body. It will start spreading into the brain, your kidneys, and multiple organs will get infected by this fungi, and
Hello, sir. I can't hear you.
Okay, students. Actually, there is sudden internet issue. When we address, sorry for delay. Mm, share my screen again. I know it is very discomfort for you. Irritating. Uh, Fine. Can you see the screen? Can you see the PPT? I mean, is it visible to your students? PPT.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So that's it.
Yes,
So
sir.
there are, okay, thank you. So there are four forms of infection. One is face infection, which is called rhinocerebral form of infection. Okay. Then second one is octomycosis. Octomycosis is caused by Rhizopus and mucormycosis, so which is a ear infection. Then third one is keratitis, which is caused by the leishthemia that will cause nail infection. Then fourth one is pulmonary mucormycosis. Pulmonary mucormycosis means this is the mycotic infection or mucormycotic infection that will go to the lungs, that will infect the lungs. From lungs, this fungi will gain access to the blood. From the blood, it will cause multiple organ infection. Okay, patient, there is a high chance of death by this form of infection. This is called pulmonary mucormycosis. Then other one is gastrointestinal mucormycosis. As the name suggests, this will cause infection to the gastrointestinal tract. It can be either in the esophagus, stomach, or intestine. Okay, so this particular infection is called gastrointestinal mucormycosis. So this is the forms of mucormycosis. Then the lab diagnosis of mucormycosis is specimens. So specimens can be scrapings from the lesions of the patient. Pus, sputum or nasal discharge can be taken. Then in the direct microscopy, you will find non-septate hyphae, and histological sections stained with HND will reveal the presence of hyphae. So presence of this non-septate sporangiospore hyphae is an identifying feature to identify the mucormycosis. Okay. Then culture. So this can be readily grown on the SDA without any cyclohexamide at 37 degrees centigrade. So at this particular temperature, you can able to see the mucormycotic growth. Okay. You can able to grow it. Then by the help of LPCB, lactophenol cotton blue, you can able to visualize the complete morphology of the fungi. So in the complete morphology, in order to differentiate mucor, rhizophus, and leishthemia, you need to know the presence or absence of rhizoids and rhizoids arrangement. So by observing the rhizoid arrangement, you can able to distinguish the various species of the mucor genera. So that include mucor, rhizophus, and leishthemia. So this can be visualized by LPCB or lactophenol cotton blue. So this is it. This is all about the mucormycosis. Let me go to the next one. So I just skipped this brief introduction to opportunistic mycosis. So opportunistic mycosis means these are the fungal infection that will cause in a patient who has decreased immune activity. So that is due to either usage of antibiotics, corticosteroids, or any other immunosuppressive drugs. In these cases, the patient will become immunocompromised, and there is a high likelihood to get opportunistic fungal infection. So first we discussed about this mucormycosis or zygomycosis. Then we can move on to the second infection, which is candidiasis. Let me go to the candidiasis. Okay, so these are the three things. First one is candida infection. Second one is lung infection, which is Aspergillus, and third one is zygomycosis or mucormycosis. So let me go to another fungi, which is candidiasis. So next, let us discuss about this candida infection. Okay. Before this, a quick revision on mucormycosis. It is much white here. So there are three important opportunistic fungi that are mucormycosis, candida, and aspergillus. So first one is mucormycosis. So mucormycosis is a opportunistic fungal infection that will cause infection to the face, especially, and the lower respiratory tract, upper respiratory tract. So there are three species in this genera. That species include mucor, rhizophon, leishthemia. Usually they will present in the soil, manure, and decaying vegetables. They are non-virulent. That means they won't cause any infection to the patient unless the patient is immunocompromised. Then the primary infection is usually to the upper respiratory tract. So the infections caused by mucormycosis include rhinocerebral form of infection, then octomycosis, keratitis, pulmonary mucormycosis, and gastrointestinal mucormycosis. Then the specimens include scrapings from the lesion, pus, sputum, and nasal discharge. Directly we can observe in the KOH, 10% KOH, where you will observe non-septate hyphae. Then you can grow it on the SDA culture. Upon culturing it, you can go for LPCB. In the LPCB mount, you can able to identify the three species of the mucormycosis. So this is all about the mucormycosis. Then second one will be the candidiasis. So let us discuss about candidiasis now. So now I'm going to discuss about candida infection. So candida means this is one of the most common women vaginal infection. So this is responsible for white discharge among women with pussy discharge, because it is due to this candida infection. Okay, candida is one of the common vaginal infection. So what is this candida? This is not only vaginal infection, it will also cause multiple other infections that I will discuss now. So now let us discuss in detail about the complete spectrum of this candida infection. Okay, are you listening, students? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us see this candida infection. So really deadly forms, actually, you will see what I mean here. So candida. So I will I will overview all these points. I will discuss introduction, morphology, species, pathogenesis, clinical symptoms, lab diagnosis, and treatment of Candida infection. Okay. So in the lab diagnosis, I will discuss about direct microscopy, culture, identifying serological test, antigen detection test, and skin tests. So this is the complete overview of Candida. I will discuss all of these points. So coming to the introduction. Okay, there is one more. In the identification test, we have germ tube test, chlamydia spores detection, and carbohydrate fermentation test. So, if possible, take a snapshot of this screenshot. Okay, take a screenshot. Very
Excuse me,
important.
sir.
Yes, Simon. Eric,
How you will collect the sample?
of Candida.
Yes.
I will show you. So we can take the cervical swabs. There are multiple forms. I will show you. So yeah. So let us see this Candida infection. No. Okay. So Candida means the causative agent of Candida infection is Candida albicans. So Candida albicans is responsible for this infection. Okay. So the fungus name is Candida albicans. So 80 to 90% of cases, Candida is caused by Candida albicans species only. Okay. So candidiasis is an infection of skin, mucosa, internal organs caused by yeast-like fungi, Candida albicans, and occasionally by other species also. So it is a yeast-like fungi. I hope you remember the example for yeast-like fungus, which is Candida, where you will see development of a pseudohyphae called pseudohyphae, right? Presence of pseudohyphae is a characteristic feature for this Candida. So Candida albicans is a normal inhabitant of skin, gastrointestinal tract, oral and vaginal cavities. Yeah. See, read this point again, students. Candida albicans is a normal skin flora. This is present right now in our body, in your skin, both males and female. We have this infection, this fungus on our body. It is present in the skin, gastrointestinal tract, oral and vaginal cavities. If we have already this yeast means why we are not getting infection? Because we are staying healthy. If you have any immunocompromised condition, means then only you will get this infection. So we need not to be killed by any external sources. We have the killers on our body itself. So they are waiting for our death. They are always seeking an opportunity to kill us actually. So Candida is a normal skin flora. But if your immune system compromised means you will get the infection. Your skin will kill yourself. Okay. So when I say skin, it is actually Candida. So the killers are on our body or are on our body surface itself. So be cautious. That is why you need to maintain good hygiene practices. You should bath regularly. You should ensure that your body is not wet. It is not moisture. It should be dry. So these are important things. Okay, because these unless we are getting infection, we don't know the severity of these things until you are getting the actual infection. Really painful. So candidiasis is an opportunistic endogenous infection. Okay, so here you can see few pictures like here you can see around the belly, you can see Candida infection in the groin region of this lady, and you can see vulvovaginal candidiasis. So there are many forms of this Candida. I will discuss now. So this is a brief introduction about Candida. Next slide. So the morphology of Candida. So this is how the Candida looks like. Okay. So C. albicans is an ovoid or spherical budding yeast cell with a diameter of 3 to 5 micrometers in diameter. So this is the budding yeast cell. Sometime this yeast cell will form a pseudohyphae. So pseudohyphae will be formed by this form. Okay. So it produces pseudohyphae, elongated filamentous cells, both in the cultures and in tissues. So this is the actual picture of Candida in a KOH preparation. So in the KOH, you can see budding yeast cells and pseudohyphae. So presence of budding yeast cells and pseudohyphae indicates it is a Candida infection. So the culprit is Candida albicans. So the yeast name is Candida albicans. So this is the morphology of Candida. Then species of Candida. So there are multiple species other than albicans that include C. albicans, C. stellatodia. C stands for Candida. C. albicans, C. stellatodia, C. tropicalis, C. galbarata, C. vishwanathi. So at least try to memorize the 2 to 3 examples of Candida. Okay. So C. albicans, C. stellatodia, C. tropicalis. So these are few species of Candida, but usually 80 to 90% cases are originated by C. albicans. So C. albicans is the major Candida infection. Okay. Then pathogenesis. Pathogenesis means it is the disease, how the disease evolved in the body. Okay, the progress of disease is called pathogenesis. So Candida is an opportunistic endogenous infection. Predisposing factors for candidiasis. So what are the predisposing factors? That means what factors will contribute to Candida infection. So the predisposing factors including diabetes, immunodeficiency, malignancy, prolonged administration of antibiotics, and the prolonged administration of steroids can leads to development of Candida infection in our body. Okay, so few factors including diabetic patients, immunodeficiency patients like HIV, malignancy means some cancer patients, or people who are taking long-term antibiotics, they are mostly prone to this Candida infection. Okay, lesions caused by Candida are like this. So this Candida will cause four types of lesions on our body. So those four lesions are mucocutaneous lesions, skin and nail infections, chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis, and systemic candidiasis. Okay, so these are the four infections caused by the Candida. They are mucocutaneous lesions, skin and nail infection, chronic mucocutaneous lesions, and systemic candidiasis. So first, let us see about this mucocutaneous lesions. What is this mucocutaneous lesions? See, students, by seeing the name, you can't understand the severity. I will show you the pictures of all mucocutaneous lesions. Very discomfort to the patient actually. A few mucocutaneous lesions include oral thrush, vulvovaginitis, balanitis, conjunctivitis, and keratitis. By going through the names, you can't understand. I will show you the pictures of individual mucocutaneous lesion, starting with oral thrush. So oral thrush means it is an infection to the tongue. It is a Candida infection to the tongue. So this is an oral thrush. Okay. So this is a Candida infection to the tongue, which is called oral thrush. Then, by the way, students, Candida is one of the common STD, sexually transmitted disease. So be cautious. And the second one is vulvovaginitis. So this is